Presenter is Timothy McNinch, and Timothy is from the Religion PhD program, and his presentation is entitled A Three-Dimensional Reading of the Biblical Ark Story. Is the timer ready? Are our judges ready? Okay. And are we ready online? Okay, the timer will start when you begin.
From the end of the corridor, this installation by the artist Felice Varini appears to be a two-dimensional image of interlocking circles. But as you walk down the hallway, it turns out to be a complex three-dimensional composition. My research deals with the composition of stories, ancient stories from the text of the Hebrew Bible. Though many of these stories seem simple and unified as we read them today, the process of their composition is just as complex and chaotic as Varini's circles. Rather than the work of a single author, most biblical narrative has been tweaked and supplemented, reframed and adapted over the course of many generations. I explore this third dimension of biblical composition with my project. The heart of my dissertation is a 3D reading of a mysterious biblical story about the Ark of the Covenant, a gold-plated, angel-decorated box that functioned kind of like a visual placeholder for Israel's invisible God. The story itself is often interpreted as a kind of theological statement about the superiority of Israel's invisible God versus the God of their Philistine enemies, a mere idol. But this interpretation addresses only the final flattened out version of the story, sort of like viewing Varini's circles from the end of the hallway. By carefully analyzing the vocabulary, grammar, and compositional issues in the ancient Hebrew versions of the story, I've been able to trace out the contributions of a long line of different authors who each received, adapted, and passed on this story before it reached its current shape in the 5th or 4th century BCE. Viewed through this depth dimension of time, our Ark story is less of a simple theological statement and much more like an unfolding conversation between many different perspectives about Israel and their God. A complex composition that reminds me of Varini's circles down the hallway. Beyond the contribution that my project makes to the scholarship on this particular biblical Ark story, it also sheds light on a fascinating social phenomenon. Instead of viewing their history as something fixed, the ancient biblical scribes revised their traditions time and time again so that the way they told their history better represented who they understood themselves to be in their own generation. I believe that if we were to follow their bold model, a three-dimensional reevaluation of our own social histories could inspire us to revise and retell our own national stories in ways that more honestly and critically account for our own present moment. Thank you.